The playoffs are here, and you can predict the action all the way to the finals with FanDuel Predicts. Predict the spread, the total points, and even the game-winning moments that make the playoffs. Sign up and get a $25 bonus with FanDuel Predicts.
Offered by FanDuel Prediction Markets, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant. 18-plus bonus is non-withdrawable and expires 7 days after receipt. Trading derivatives involves significant risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Manage your activity with their consumer protection tools. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/predicts/bonus-offer-terms.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi. Okay, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Bill O'Reilly was there. Bill, I saw you all dressed up in a tux. Explain what the night was like for you.
Well, I'm the answer man, so I can answer any questions if you want. As we're gone over this, so it's a charitable event. That's why it's held. They give scholarships out to kids, and there's awards after the speeches. I was just happened to be at the back door of the ballroom when the shots broke out. Now, I heard 4 shots, and they were loud. And half the room could hear them, half the room could not. And everybody hit the floor except me. I'm not smart enough, as my son pointed out, to hit the floor, but I had a report.
Did you know there were gunshots? Did you know there were gunshots at first?
I've been around gunshots before. So, and I was at the back door of the room. Now, at that door also was a U.S. Marshal. Anyway, everybody hits the floor when they hear the sound, but half the room couldn't hear the gunshots. But what they could see was the Secret Service immediately running down the aisle toward the president, and that's what really stoked the panic. So then, pretty much everybody, I leaned down. My son's under the table. I go, "How is it under there?" He goes, "They're going to shoot you." I said, "Many have tried. Don't worry about it." But I had to see the room. I had to see what was happening. And so once that happened, once the Secret Service rushed in, and they had a discussion with Trump. It wasn't like Butler, where they just threw something over him and got him right out of there. They were discussing what was happening. And then I went right over to the marshal, who was a fan of mine, and that always helps. And he had an earpiece in, and I got, what was happening upstairs. So the guy had no shot, pardon the pun, at ever hurting any of the Trump administration. He had no shot to do it because he had to come down. He came down.
The one question we've been asking in the studio, I don't know how long you've been on, is nobody has identified this person. Is he a Pakistani, Afghanistani, African?
No,
who is he?
He's a loon from California. Mm-hmm. He's not associated, as far as we know, with any kind of group or militant or anything like that. He's just a loon. And you know that by his manifesto that he wrote before he went downstairs. But anyway, look, I know you guys have gone over stuff. If you have any specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Well, Steve Moore called me before, and Steve Moore says that they were very sloppy checking in people. They had 2,200 people. And what was your experience when they checked you in?
I don't know if sloppy is the word I use. Everybody had to show a ticket. There were 4 checkpoints, and that's why I'm saying this guy could not have gotten from the hotel lobby down the escalator, and I was staring right at the bottom of it, without being confronted. It was impossible to do that. So all his field of fire was the lobby of the hotel. And there were 3,000 guests. So that's 5,000 people in the building.
And the other question was asked, Bill, when the Secret Service guys one guy gets shot in the chest, the other 5 of them around him Why don't you kill the guy? What happened?
Very, very unusual. Usually you'd be dead within 5 seconds.
Yes.
So I'm surmising now, I don't know. I think there were so many people around this guy, around the shooter, that they didn't want to shoot and perhaps hit a civilian, as they call them. So they tackled him. They brought him down. I think that's what will be borne out.
Hey, Bill, did you hear the press conference right before? This was interesting. Judge Janine and Todd Blanche and Kash Patel said an officer fired his weapon 5 times, they believe, that the guy's gun discharged at least once, the shotgun. They said specifically it was the shotgun. And then they said, did he fall or tackle? And they said, well, both could be true. So that was interesting.
It's a little vague.
Yeah,
I just
exactly.
heard 4 shots. Yeah, so I just heard 4. And we delineated that to be 2 by the shooter, one of which hit a Secret Service guy in a protective vest, and then 2 by the service. But that could be off. I mean, you know, in this kind of a thing.
Yeah, the heat of the moment. You don't know, as we're just talking about, right?
And they'll issue what happened and how it all went down line by line. That should come tomorrow. And the guy, here's the kicker on it. The guy will never be free again. He just sacrificed his life. So did the guy in Butler. He's dead. And then the other guy who's hiding in the bushes in Palm Beach, you'll never see him again.
Yeah, he's life. Ryan Ruth.
And their families are devastated for the rest of their lives. And this idiot in Washington had to know that he had no chance to get to where he wanted to get to. It was impossible. He couldn't do it. There were just too many security guys there. And this was 25 minutes after the event started, so there was no more check-in. The check-in had been completed. But what Steve said, and I did see Steve at the event, there's some truth to that they were getting people in there pretty quickly. But this guy didn't go through any of the protocol to get in. He went down a stairwell.
Right, because he was a guest at the hotel.
Right.
You know, Bill, I want to ask you about political rhetoric, because this is one thing that the White House and President Trump said even on Saturday night, but the White House today said the rhetoric against this president and the threats against this president have to stop. And they are making a direct line. And even some of the folks, even over the weekend, I was watching a lot of the Sunday shows, and they would not really back away from what they've already said. I mean, you look at it, what's so troubling is this guy who seems like a bright guy, obviously mentally bright, obviously deranged, but they're getting radicalized. They're getting inspired. And the White House and President Trump and many others contend it's directly tied to a lot of this incendiary rhetoric.
You can charge with incitement, and Raskin's the worst. Raskin, the congressman from Maryland, oh my God, is he the worst? Because even after this, he wouldn't stop. You know, you got basically a narrative said, well, Trump does it too. Wait a minute. You got Russian collusion. You got 2 impeachments. You've got this bogus thing that happened in New York City, which is a stain on our city forever. Okay. They made up charges, and you don't expect the person under this kind of pressure to respond. Look at the Norah O'Donnell interview. I don't know whether you guys saw it on 60 Minutes. Did you see it?
Yes, I did.
No,
okay,
I didn't. Tell us about it.
Every tenet of journalism she violated. You don't confront an interview subject with unverified smears. You don't do that if you're a professional journalist. You don't. And remember, this was edited. So that means that the CBS hierarchy knew what she was doing. And she was trying to embarrass the president of the United States. There was no other intent. She didn't have to do that. She could have said, we had a manifesto that accuses you of all kinds of heinous things, Mr. President. Do you have a comment? That's what a professional journalist does. Nora O'Donnell's not a professional judge. She's an activist. Okay?
I thought they cleaned out that place, Bill.
What was that?
I thought they cleaned out 60 Minutes.
Well, I don't, I'm not involved with any of that, so I don't know what they do. All I know is this. I've been doing this for 50 years, John. Okay? So I know as much about journalism as you know about groceries. We know
I'm always
a lot.
going to be a grocer, man. I know.
Okay?
And you know a lot about groceries.
And I'm sitting there and I'm watching this display, which would never get past my editing pen. In a million years would that get past. Number one, you're respectful to the office of the presidency. She wasn't. Number two, she's smearing the man with unverified ravings of a lunatic. Does that sound like good journalism to you guys?
Absolutely.
No, absolutely. By the way, Bill, what I did think was really great. I actually thought President Trump was great because he looked right at her and he threw it. Exactly. He threw it right back at her. I think he anticipated it.
And that is absolutely appropriate. And then you had the other person, Caitlin Collins, on CNN reporting the shooter's dead. Now, I'm standing in the room there. I see everything. And there was nothing that you even close to that. And she gets on and she covered herself by saying, oh, we can't verify. Then don't report it, lady. If you can't verify it, you don't report it. These people have no training. They're like malpractice doctors. They don't know what they're doing.
Hey, Bill,
Bill? Drives me nuts.
What did you make of all the Jimmy Kimmel stuff? Because you probably saw
he's going to be fired this week.
Yeah. I want to tell everybody what happened because I thought it was reprehensible. The comment about her looking, like a widow soon. She has the glow of a widow. And that was 2 days before the White House Correspondents' dinner. President Trump today said she should be, that he should be fired. Kimmel. In fact, Melania Trump put out a big statement today, too. So you believe he will be?
I have Melania Trump's spokesperson on the No Spin News tomorrow. But Disney is at fault here. Disney is allowing this to happen and has allowed it to happen for years. So I'm not a boycott guy, but I'll never, ever, ever buy a Disney product or go to a Disney attraction again in my entire life. And if they don't fire him, then the affiliated stations have got to drop him.
Wow.
And that happened the first time around with this guy. Because this guy is peddling hate.
Yep.
That's what he's doing. He's not funny. It's not satire. He's not doing it for any artistic purpose.
So we got a problem between 60 Minutes and Kimmel, ABC of Disney. I mean, we got a problem here.
Yeah, you got corrupt corporate media.
Yeah.
You've had it for quite some time.
It's dividing the country.
Oh, so divisive.
Yeah.
So divisive. And then you think about the pass they gave on Biden. By the way, Bill, too, as we're talking, did you see what Barack Obama said? He came out and said even though we're confused about the motive of this, as if we have no idea.
The manifesto was out for 5 hours when Obama said that, which is why
Obama's going for leadership of the Democratic Party.
Yep.
He wants to be the kingmaker. That's why he's doing all of this stuff. That's why I appear with Mandani.
Right. I remember we talked about that.
Right. That's what he's doing. Now, does that make his legacy look better? I don't think so.
I think it's worse.
Exactly
I
right.
do too.
It makes him look absolutely reprehensible.
Yeah, it looks it's so intentional. I mean, at that point, everybody had the manifesto.
And
everybody knew.
He sent Axelrod, his guy.
That's right.
To see the Pope.
Right, and then the Pope went after Trump.
Which goes after Axelrod, his guy, goes and sees the Pope, which is part of the Chicago gang of whatever.
Chicago political mafia. The Chicago political mafia.
Right. And then the Pope has the tit for tat with Trump. What a surprise.
Bill O'Reilly, we got to move on, but thank you for everything you do. We got to go take a break.